Karen's voice sliced through the night like a banshee's wail, shrill and unyielding, demanding obedience from a world that owed her nothing. At 3 a.m., her bellowing accusations woke half the block, claiming I was a threat to the neighborhood for daring to defy her. It started with a mailbox. Not just any mailbox, but the mailbox mine, freshly painted, proudly standing at the edge of my lawn. Karen, self-appointed dictator of Elmwood Drive, had declared it too bright for her precious HOA standards. She'd left a note, scrawled in red ink, repaint it beige by tomorrow, or else. I ignored it. I'd moved here to escape petty tyrants, not to bow to them. By midnight, she was pounding on my door, her face a bloated mask of indignation, spewing threats about fines and lawsuits. By 3 a.m., she'd called the cops, claiming I was harassing her by refusing to comply. The street was a theater of absurdity when the police arrived. Karen, in her oversized nightgown, stood under the street lamp, gesturing wildly, her voice a crescendo of entitlement. "He's a menace," she shrieked, pointing at me as I leaned against my porch railing, arms crossed, unfazed. The two officers, weary from a long shift, exchanged glances, clearly questioning why they were dragged out for this. A few neighbors, roused by the commotion, peeked from their windows, their silhouettes framing the drama like a Greek chorus awaiting the fall of a flawed hero. Karen's accusations were a masterclass in exaggeration. She claimed my mailbox was a public nuisance, that its vibrant blue was blinding drivers, causing untold chaos. She even threw in a lie about me yelling obscenities, though the only thing I'd said was, "Karen, it's just a mailbox. Go to bed." Her eyes bulged, her jowls quivering as she doubled down, insisting I was a danger to the community. The officers, trying to keep straight faces, asked for my side. I shrugged. She doesn't like my mailbox. That's it. But Karen wasn't done. She escalated, as Karens do, demanding they arrest me for defying HOA regulations and disturbing the peace. One officer, a young guy with a buzz cut, sighed and asked for my ID. Karen smirked, certain she'd won. That's when I reached into my jacket, pulled out my badge, and held it up to the light. The gold shield gleamed, catching the street lamp's flicker. "Detective Ryan Holt, Precinct 47, I said calmly. Karen's face drained of color, her mouth frozen mid-rant. See, I hadn't moved to Elmwood Drive by chance. After 20 years on the force, I'd seen enough corruption and power trips to last a lifetime. I wanted a quiet life, a place to plant roots, maybe even a blue mailbox to brighten my days. But Karen didn't know that. She didn't know I'd spent years dealing with real criminals, drug lords, thieves, worse not self-righteous busybodies who thought their HOA rulebook was the Constitution. Her eyes darted between the badge and the officers, who now looked at her with a mix of pity and annoyance. "Ma'am," the older officer said, his voice laced with fatigue, "this is a civil matter. You can't call us out here for a mailbox." Karen sputtered, her hands flailing. But he's breaking the rules. He's disrespecting me." The younger officer, barely hiding a smirk, added, "And you're disturbing the peace. Let's not make this worse." The neighbors' curtains twitched. Whispers carried on the night air. Karen, who'd spent years terrorizing Elmwood Drive with her petty decrees banning holiday lights, finding people for unapproved flower beds, was unraveling. Her reign was built on fear, on neighbors too tired or polite to fight back. But I wasn't one of them. I'd faced down men with guns. A middle-aged woman with a vendetta didn't scare me. I could have let it end there. Let the cops send her home with a warning. But Karen had crossed a line, and I'd seen too many bullies get away with too much. "Officer," I said, stepping forward, "while you're here, you might want to check her car." I nodded toward her SUV, parked crookedly across 2 spaces. "I noticed some expired tags last week. And, well, I've heard rumors about her borrowing from the HOA funds. Might be worth a look." Karen's eyes widened, panic replacing her bravado. You can't do that," she stammered. But the officers were already moving, one shining a flashlight on her license plate, the other radioing in. The neighbors' whispers grew louder, their faces now openly watching the downfall of their tormentor. Karen's lies had caught up with her. The expired tags where Relied noticed them during one of her many driveway rants. The HOA funds. A hunch, based on whispers from neighbors too scared to speak up. But I'd learned long ago how to read people, and Karen's guilt was written in her trembling hands. The older officer returned, his expression grim. "Ma'am, your registration's been expired for 6 months, and we're getting a report of an audit request for the HOA. You'll need to come with us to clear this up." Karen's knees buckled. She grabbed the street lamp for support, her face ashen. "This is a setup," she wailed. "He's framing me." But no one bought it. Not the cops. Not the neighbors. Not even the stray cat watching from a fence post. As they led her to the patrol car, Karen's voice faded into a pathetic whimper. The neighbors stepped onto their porches, no longer hiding, their relief palpable. One, an elderly woman who'd once been fined for her rose bushes, gave me a nod of gratitude. Another, a young dad, mouthed, "Thank you." I didn't need their thanks. I'd done what I always did, stood my ground, called out the bully, and let the truth do the rest. By dawn, Elmwood Drive was quiet again. Karen's SUV was towed, her mailbox complaint forgotten. The audit would later uncover thousands in misappropriated HOA funds, enough to ensure Karen faced more than a slap on the wrist. My blue mailbox stood untouched, a small victory in a world too often ruled by petty tyrants. I went back inside, brewed some coffee, and sat on my porch, watching the sunrise. Justice doesn't always come with handcuffs or sirens. Sometimes, it's just a badge, a hunch, and the courage to say no. The end.